Yet again, there was a terror attack in Huwarrah. Two men were on their way to a concert when their car was shot at by a Palestinian terrorist along the way. Palestinian President Mahmoud Abbas made a disgusting speech recently where he claimed that Jews are not Semites and that Adolf Hitler only killed Jews because they dealt in usury and money. The U.S. just transferred a bunch of arms and armored vehicles to the Palestinian Authority to help them keep down violence and terrorism, and many government ministers here in Israel are reasonably very, very furious. We're going to talk about that and a lot more here on today's show, so stay tuned. I'm Justin, and this is the Israel Guys. That right there was a video of IDF soldiers dancing with a Palestinian groom. Wholesome stuff right there that I bet you won't see anywhere else. Welcome to the Israel Guys, where we believe that in a world of Jew hatred and anti-Israel propaganda, you should have a direct connection to the land and people of Israel. Welcome back to the show, guys. Today in Israel, actually, we had some rain. Really interesting. Woke up this morning to rain pounding on the tin roof. Woke me up. It was like downpour. It was really loud, but it's great that Israel is getting rain. It's pretty rare for this early for Israel to get rain, but it's always great to have rain here in Israel. Guys, if you're not subscribed yet, make sure to do that. Please just hit the subscribe button, maybe notification bell, so you don't miss out on any content that we're putting out every single week. Also, follow us on our other social media platforms on Instagram, Facebook, Twitter. Give us a follow there, or check out our breaking news WhatsApp group. The link will be in the description below if you want to check that out. That's also great. Guys, yet again, there was a terror attack in Huwarrah. We've had to report that a lot. There have been so many terror attacks in Huwarrah in the last year. It's now turned into a terrorist hotbed, you could say, because it's dangerous just to drive through there now, which is absolutely ridiculous that it's continuing to be that way. Two men in their 30s, they were driving through Huwarrah. They were actually on their way to Huwarrah last night. Huwarrah, here where we are, they were on their way here to Huwarrah. They were driving through Huwarrah when a terrorist opened fire on them. Dozens of bullets were shot into their car. So you can see in the pictures, it's crazy. The glass shards everywhere. It's a miracle, absolute miracle, that neither of them were hit by actual bullets. They were both moderately injured by the glass shards. The bullets shattered the glass in the windows. Glass injured them. But thankfully, neither of them were actually hit by bullets, which was crazy, crazy miracle. Magen David Adom personnel showed up super quickly, as they always do. They provided first aid before evacuating them both to the hospital. One of the victims is Meir David Kahan, who is the son of Rabbi Benjamin and Talia Kahan, who were murdered 23 years ago in a shooting attack near Ofra. Also, Rabbi Benjamin Kahan, the one who was murdered 23 years ago, he was the son of Rabbi Meir Kahan, who was the founder of the Kach Party and the Jewish Defense League, who was also murdered in a terrorist attack in New York in 1990. So, as of Wednesday morning, this morning, as I'm recording this show right here, as of Wednesday morning, Beilinson Hospital announced the release of Kahan, of David Meir Kahan, but the other man, Achiyad Libman, was still in the hospital as of recording time this morning. Achiyad Libman, his father, who was the head of the Pri Haaretz Yeshiva in Rechalim, Rabbi Yehuda Libman, recounted the miracle that happened to his son. He said, quote, "A great miracle happened to us. We thank God for his kindness. Our 25-year-old son was traveling with a friend to a Yishai Ribo concert in Huwarrah. On their way while passing through Huwarrah, they were ambushed by despicable terrorists. Dozens of bullets were shot at the car, and miraculously, the two were relatively slightly harmed by glass shards. This situation in which a corridor of hundreds of meters becomes a bloody range of sitting ducks for the area's residents and soldiers is unbearable and cannot be accepted. We demand that all ranks of the defense establishment launch a widespread military operation in all of Judea and Samaria, a total blockade of the cities to subdue terror and collect arms. I thought he said that very well, that Huwarrah, it's true, it's basically turned into a tunnel of, it's just a range where the people driving through are just sitting ducks, where so much terror has happened. I thought he said that really well. The father mentioned that they were on their way to a Yishai Rebo concert. Yishai Rebo was a super famous singer here in Israel, but especially in Judea and Samaria. We were actually at his concert in Huwarrah last night here in Bracha when we got the news about the terror attack down in Huwarrah. So apparently these two guys that were shot at, they were actually on the way to the same concert that we were at last night. As of last night, the IDF were still searching for the terrorist. They said, quote, following the initial report a short while ago, a shooting attack was carried out toward civilians driving in their vehicle at the Bitot junction. 2 civilians were injured from glass shards. The IDF soldiers and Magen David Adom paramedics provided initial medical treatment at the scene. The civilians were evacuated while lightly injured and fully conscious to receive further medical treatment in a hospital. IDF soldiers are pursuing the terrorists and have set up blockages in the area. Guys, my question is, how long is this going to happen? How much more Jewish blood needs to be shed before the world is fed up with what is going on in Israel, before they say enough, before the world starts to even care about the Jewish lives that are being shed here in the land of Israel that is happening all the time? The world needs to call on Israel. They need to stop pressuring Israel to be lighter on Palestinian terrorists. They need to stop pressuring Israel to weaken themselves. They need to pressure Israel in the exact opposite way. They need to pressure Israel to be strong, to strengthen themselves, to take out these terrorists, even to do some kind of situation in Huwarrah that will solve this problem, this horrible problem. Thankfully, Israel is in the process of building a bypass road around Huwarrah, which will definitely help with the terror because the cars can drive around, so it's not just a bloody range of sitting ducks, as the father said, driving through this tunnel, sort of through Huwarrah, where it's very easy to be shot at. Thankfully, Israel's building a bypass road, but they need to do more. Building a bypass road is not going to solve the problem. Overall, it's just going to put a sort of Band-Aid on the situation, stop it for now. But, you know, the bypass road could turn into the same Huwarrah after years, but it definitely will help in the meantime. Thank God this terror attack, was not any worse than it was, that no one was killed, that they were both just moderately injured, but continue to pray for the victims' full recovery, that they will, completely recover from this terror attack, not just physically, but also mentally. Guys, I want to read a great statement from the British foreign minister. Imagine that. For once, a foreign minister is actually saying something good. The Jerusalem Post reported that, quote, the British Foreign Secretary James Cleverly on Tuesday called on Palestinian Authority Chairman Mahmoud Abbas to condemn terrorist attacks against Israelis rather than spread, quote, disgusting anti-Semitic tropes. He told the World Summit on Counterterrorism in Herzliya, quote, when I meet with the leadership of the Palestinian Authority, I will make it clear that rather than spreading disgusting anti-Semitic tropes and outrageous distortions of history, they should be clearer in their denouncement of violence. So apparently he's going to meet with the Palestinian Authority soon, and he's saying he's going to make clear that they cannot keep spreading these anti-Semitic tropes. He also said the PA, quote, should be clear that there is no acceptance for brutality and terrorism. It should be clear that there is no excuse to target Israelis, particularly Israeli civilians, because that is the only way that peace is possible. The statement that he made was in response to a very disgusting, horrifying speech that Mahmoud Abbas made recently, where he claimed that, number one, Jews are not Semites, which is just completely against facts, 100% false, so I don't know how he could even say that. Also, that number two, Adolf Hitler only killed Jews, quote, because they dealt in usury and money. If that's not anti-Semitic, I don't know what is. That's just Jew hatred right there at the highest level. Thankfully, this speech was condemned by ministers around the world, including the British Foreign Minister James Cleverly. Guys, Jew hatred like this cannot go unnoticed, cannot go unpunished. Mahmoud Abbas is supposed to address the United Nations General Assembly next week. Don't ask me why. I have no idea why they would let him address the UN General Assembly when Palestine is not even a nation that is part of the United Nations. So it makes no sense, but we need to call for him to be banned from the United Nations. Jew hatred like this cannot go unnoticed. We'll be right back with the rest of the show, but first, as the Jewish high holidays approach, we have a unique opportunity to fulfill a sacred duty, to give to people who are really struggling here in the land of Israel. Did you know that over 2 million Israelis, including over 1 million children, are currently living in poverty? These families are forced to make agonizing choices every day, deciding between groceries, life-saving medicine, or keeping a roof over their heads. It's a shocking truth that 1 in 3 Israeli Holocaust survivors are living in poverty, living with the trauma of their past and the harsh reality of food insecurity today. That's why we've joined forces with Me'ir Panim, an extraordinary organization committed to transforming lives in Israel. Me'ir Panim's mission is to give with dignity. They operate 5 restaurant-style soup kitchens and provide food vouchers to those in need. We can't ignore their plight any longer. As Deuteronomy 15:7-8 reminds us, "You shall not harden your heart or shut your hand against your poor brother, but you shall open your hand to him and lend him sufficient for his need, whatever it may be." Your generous support can make an immediate and lasting impact. Your contribution will provide essential food to struggling families, ensuring that children have a warm meal, and it will help these families break the cycle of poverty. You'll also empower at-risk teens and bring hope to those who need it most. Act today. Bring hope and provide crucial support to those who need it most. Visit the Me'ir Panim website by clicking the link below to make a difference. Today, we can illuminate lives with the light of charity and compassion. Thank you for your generosity. There is something else that is crazy happening in Israel. The U.S. just transferred a bunch of arms and armored vehicles to the Palestinian Authority to help them keep down violence and terrorism. Yes, you heard that right. The United States, our beloved United States of America, just transferred arms to one of the enemies of Israel. Al-Quds newspaper reported Monday evening the Palestinian Authority received via Jordan a group of armored vehicles and weapons to support the Palestinian security services, especially the preventive security and national security services, as well as police. The report went on. The new vehicles and arms are supposed to be used for law enforcement, as the PA has seen a breakdown in its ability to control areas of the West Bank, particularly Jenin and other hotspots. That's true. They've shown their inability to keep down terrorism. The report went on. The armored vehicles were obtained by the authority from the American side through the Jordanian mediator. Al-Quds added that the goal is to strengthen the capabilities of the Palestinian security services in confronting the Palestinian armed cells stationed in Jenin and the city of Nablus. Now, you might be thinking, what's wrong with that? Sounds good and all to give money, arms, keep down terrorism, keep down violence. There's just one problem. The head of the Palestinian Authority is the same person who made that horrible anti-Semitic speech and who is himself a terrorist. Yes, Mahmoud Abbas is himself a terrorist. He has planned terrorist attacks, if not carried them out. Himself, also a supporter of terrorism. Like, what is America even thinking? What's the idea here? How could they think that this would somehow be a good idea to give arms, ammunition, armored vehicles to the Palestinian Authority. I really cannot wrap my mind around what is going on here. According to the Jerusalem Post, quote, sources close to Prime Minister Benjamin Netanyahu blamed the previous government led by Naftali Bennett and Yair Lapid for the reported transfer of armored vehicles to the Palestinian Authority on Wednesday, as members of the coalition expressed outrage at the reports. The Army radio, they first reported it. They reported that all this stuff was transferred by the U.S. to the Palestinian Authority's security forces with the approval of the Coordinator of Government Activities in the Territories, or COGAT, which is supervised by Finance Minister Bezalel Smotrich. COGAT denied the reports of a weapons transfer on Wednesday morning, stating that, quote, no weapons were transferred to the Palestinian Authority during the past year. The Defense Ministry also called the reports a misrepresentation, stating, quote, since Defense Minister Yoav Gallant took office, the transfer of lethal weapons to the Palestinian Authority has not been approved. Any attempt to present things in a different way is false and a diversion from the truth. But they couldn't deny, however, that the reports that armored vehicles were transferred to the PA, they couldn't deny that. The facts were that it happened. Israeli media reported that sources in the Defense Ministry confirmed about 10 armored vehicles were transferred from Jordan to the PA with U.S. funding. So it looks like when they were first accused, they were saying, nothing was transferred. But, then the facts came out and they did confirm that stuff was transferred to the Palestinian Authority. Sources close to the finance minister, who is Bezalel Smotrich, they said that Smotrich was not aware of the approval that was apparently given for this arms transfer, and that now Smotrich is, quote, seething with rage. I probably would be myself if I was in his shoes. Of course, National Security Minister Itamar Ben-Gvir, he expressed outrage at the reports. He said to Netanyahu on Twitter, quote, if you intend to strive for an Oslo II, a government, please inform your ministers and the public, and we will act accordingly. Also, religious Zionist MK Zvi Sukkot called the report absolutely terrible. He said, quote, if this is true, I don't know how to live with it in any way. We didn't come to play. Guys, horrible. I don't know why the U.S. is doing this. Don't know what they could possibly thinking. Transferring arms to the Palestinian Authority to terrorists. A lot of terrorists that kill Jews who commit terror attacks come from Fatah, from the military branch of the Palestinian Authority, and the head of the Palestinian Authority himself is a terrorist and a terrorist supporter, a Holocaust denier, and a Jew hater, and an anti-Semite. Absolutely disgusting stuff going on. Guys, in some other news, it's reported that Prime Minister Benjamin Netanyahu will meet Ukrainian President Vladimir Zelensky at the United Nations for the first time since the war in Ukraine began. Netanyahu has not wanted to meet with Zelensky so far. He even turned down an invitation from him to meet in Kiev last year. Israel's been treating Ukraine a little different. Excuse me. In regards to how they've been treating the war that's happening over there. They're not like the Biden administration, who's catering to every wish of Ukraine. Seems like they're just coddling Ukraine. Israel is not doing it like that. I feel like they're being a little smarter. They have delivered several tons of humanitarian assistance and defensive equipment to Ukraine throughout the course of the war, but they have stopped short of selling advanced weapons to Ukraine, as Ukraine has requested time and time again. Israel fears that such a move, selling weapons to Ukraine, would create tension with Russia and harm Israeli security interests in Syria. Russia has a lot of proxies in Syria, so definitely could be a very serious threat for Israel. So I think what they're doing is very smart. But it'll definitely be interesting to see if this meeting with Vladimir Zelensky will change anything, maybe in the way that Israel has been supporting Ukraine. Guys, in conclusion, the American administration they need to stop. Honestly, just stop. Leave Israel alone for once, and stop supporting our enemies and start supporting Israel unconditionally, no matter what, not just Israel, all of Judea and Samaria, what the world calls the West Bank. Support Israel, support the biblical heartland of Judea and Samaria. Guys, continue to pray for the full recovery of the 2 men who were shot in Huwarrah last night. Pray for the nation of Israel as they're going through this time, as they're leading up to the feasts, the holidays here in Israel. Continue to pray for the nation of Israel. Don't forget to subscribe. Get the conversation going down below. Let me know what you think in the comments below about everything that is going on in Israel. Let me know your thoughts. Love to engage with you there. As always, tune out the fake news and tune into what is actually happening here in the land of Israel. We'll be back every day, Monday through Friday, with your direct connection to the land and people of Israel.